Hi there, and welcome to this short demonstration of ContractPod AI. ContractPod AI is a complete end-to-end contract management system, and by end-to-end we mean that it can deal with incoming requests from the business to the legal team, so it can actually act as a front door request center to the legal team. You can automate contracts, so create contracts based on existing templates, or indeed simply upload third-party documents or bespoke contracts and start to manage those on the system. Everything is stored in a highly searchable central repository. You can produce really detailed reporting and analytics when the contracts and data is in the system. We have DocuSign built in, so contracts can be signed electronically using DocuSign. Dates can be managed, so renewal, revision, termination dates can all be managed through alerts and notifications. And you can also automate workflows and approval processes. We even now have an AI contract review tool which will create the initial review of contracts. So it's a complete end-to-end tool, and over the course of the next 15 minutes or so, I will take you through a quick look at the main functionality areas in the system. Now, we're looking at the home screen just now, and this is the view that a full user would have. It is absolutely possible to create a secondary level of user. We would normally call these business users, and they would have far less access to functionality than what you see here. So a full user, they need all the functionality. A business user might only have 3 or 4 options here, maybe to create contracts or access them in the repository, or even just to submit a request to the legal team. Now, a good place to start is always the dashboards at the top left, and this provides a 360 look at the contracts that are in the system. It provides all kinds of analysis. You've got a breakdown of contract type versus status at the top that gives you, for each contract type, an understanding of how many contracts are at each stage of the life cycle, and you can see the different stages in the life cycle here. And if you even wanted to access all the active agency agreements, for example, then you can just click in and it takes you to where they are in the repository. Underneath, we've got customer supplier analysis, contract type analysis, even a breakdown of value based on jurisdiction. But up at the top right, there is an alerts panel for the user. Amongst the alerts panel are the red and blue tabs, and these are part of the alerts and notifications. So if the user has got a reminder due for example, a key date like a renewal, revision, termination date, or maybe even some kind of contractual milestone, and if that reminder is due that day or that week, then they can access it from the dashboard. They would also, however, get an automated email. They would get a pop-up notice if they were on the system, and even an entry in their Outlook calendar. We can integrate with Outlook so that all reminders from ContractPod AI can actually appear in the user's Outlook calendar. And you can see underneath that if the user has any outstanding approval requests, then they can access those from the dashboard. But they would also get an automated email sent every time an approval has been assigned to them as well. Now, in terms of actually creating a contract, everything starts from this request form. Now, this is where you populate the actual metadata that will appear in the contract record. And this is the form that you would complete if you were a user in the business wanting to submit a request to the legal team for them to maybe create or review a contract. Or if you're actually going to create a contract yourself, you start with this form. Or if you're going to even upload a third-party document, this is where you begin. So search for someone in the customer supplier database first. You can see that Test Limited are there already, so their details get pre-populated. Then you pick out the contract type, and you can define your own contract types. And what you can also do is, based on the contract type the user selects, is trigger a different set of metadata questions. So you can capture different metadata for each contract type. Now, underneath, if you're using this as a request form, then you can add a description here. we've got a currency tool, so you can select from over 30 currencies, but there's actually an exchange rate tool which built into the system. So when you report on the value of a contract, say 6 months down the line, if you have created the contract, say in Singapore dollars, then you'll get, when you report on the value of it, you will get a real-time valuation in your base currency, in your core currency. You can then drag and drop any related documents here, and finally assign this contract record either to yourself or to someone in the legal team if you're going to submit a request. And when you do that, you now create a record in the contract repository. Now, every contract record has what we call a snapshot page. The idea behind the snapshot page is, firstly, that it allows you to identify the key details in the document without having to open the document itself. Things like the status of the contract at the top right, system generated ID. We've got all the information from the previous request form here, but you can also fully manage the contract from this one location, and you can do that through these different tabs. But the user has got two choices here. They can either upload a third-party document if you're going to upload, if you're dealing with a third-party contract or a bespoke document. Alternatively, if you wanted to create a contract based on one of your templates, you can do that from this drop-down menu. You select the template you want to use, and you can have different versions of each contract type. You load the variable questionnaire, and this is where you populate the actual variables within the document. And every template will have its own unique set of variables attached to it, and you can build approvals into this process. So at all times, the user is working within an approval framework that the legal team have set out, and if they stray beyond that approval framework, they're stopped in their tracks. There's also a clause library that sits behind the templates, so you can keep a bank of your most up-to-date clauses and allow users to pull in clauses into certain templates, only templates that you're happy for them, or contracts that you're happy for them to decide whether the clause needs to be included or not. But when you hit Save and Generate Contract, within a few seconds, the contract is created, it's uploaded onto the snapshot page. It sits in two places. You've got the latest version of the contract that sits here, and this final signed version will also sit there, and all previous versions actually sit underneath, so there's full version control in the system. You can view the contract in Word or in PDF. So this is a quick look at it. Well, this is a PDF of the contract, but the contract is based on your standard template, so it can take any form. It can be far more sophisticated than this if required. Now, in terms of the negotiation process, there's a couple of things we can do. You can open up a portal with the other party to give them secure access to the contract, and they can actually suggest changes to the contract through a comment box. And if you use the comment box in the portal for the negotiation conversation, the full conversation gets tracked on the system. Alternatively, if you exchange Word versions of the agreement, then we've actually got a track changes tool built in that picks up every change made to the contract, even if the other party hasn't redlined those changes. But if you're ready for signature, then you can check out, and you're then able to either upload a manually signed version of the agreement, and you can see you've also got the ability to OCR any documents that you upload, which makes everything fully searchable in the repository. But you can also send for electronic signature. We've got DocuSign built in, so the user will fill out this form. When they hit send document, the parties receive an email from DocuSign. They carry out the standard DocuSign process, and the really clever thing about the integration that we have with DocuSign is that when the contract is fully signed, the fully signed version will come and automatically sit here. So it's a fully automated process in terms of signing the contract electronically. Now, I mentioned the different tabs that we have. You have activities and notes where you can set in-cycle contract activities and even assign activities to other users. The Documents tab is where you store any supporting documentation, so anything related to the contract can be stored here. Important Dates is where you can track the key dates in the contract, and they can be assigned to different users. And you can, when the dates are in the system, you can report on dates, you can track them, so you can run reports on all the contracts that are going to expire within the next month, for example, and they can even be sent automatically. And finally, you have key obligations where you can track the legal obligations in the contract. You can create bespoke fields here, and you can even, using the AI contract review tool, actually populate those fields automatically. Now, in terms of the ability to search contracts in the database, we can do that through, firstly, My Contracts, which is the contract repository. And within My Contracts, you can search by the contract ID, the customer supplier name. You can even filter using the headings at the top here. However, if you wanted to drill down into the actual contracts in the system, we have Advanced Search, and we're pretty confident Advanced Search is the most powerful search tool of any contract management system in the market. With the OCR capability, it means that when you run searches through Advanced Search, you're actually searching through scanned PDFs as well as the readable PDFs or Word documents that you've got already stored. Now, I've got some text here, which will save me typing it out. So if I wanted to search for the contracts that contain this exact wording, and you can see I've put it in inverted commas, so it's going to search for the exact wording, then you can then apply any filters you want underneath. So we'll search actually just within documents, because this is not going to appear within metadata. We'll do both pre and post signature. We'll not apply any of the other filters here, but you can see the extensive filters that you can apply. Run the search, the results come up really quickly. They can then be exported to Excel or PDF. So that means you can actually use the advanced search functionality to create reports. And that means, so let's say if you wanted to create a report based on all contracts that contain a particular clause, all you need to do is enter some unique wording from that clause into the search bar, run the search, then export the results to Excel to create the report. However, if you just want to find out where within the document a search result actually appears, then you even get a preview pane, and it highlights where in the document you will find the search result. Now, you can also report based on metadata in the contract, and you can do that on the left-hand side through My Reports and Custom Reports. My Reports is where you access preloaded reports, and you can access those from this drop-down menu. We give over 30 out of the box, but we can add additional reports here. And the idea is that the user can just pick out the report they want to run and run it in one click, or you can just type some wording from the report title. So if I wanted to run a report on the supplier contracts that contain change of control provisions, it's just one click, you get the results here. The results can then be exported to Excel or to PDF, so that's a PDF of the results. But you can even schedule reports to run automatically. So you can schedule a report to run on a daily, weekly, monthly, or annual basis, and you can even pick out the users that you want to receive the report, or send it to non-ContractPod AI users. So if there's maybe some guys in senior management that may not require a ContractPod AI license, but would want to see the all the contracts that need to renew in the next week, then that report can hit their inbox every Monday morning. And through custom reports, you can actually create your own reports. So users can very easily build their own reports, and they can build reports based on any metadata that is in the system. So even if you guys have created bespoke metadata fields, then these will actually appear for the user to report against here. Now, I think the final thing worth showing you guys in this very quick look at the system is how you can link contracts. So if we go back into a contract record, you can see you have this contract relationship tab, which allows you to add a new relationship and define whether the contract you're working on is a parent or a child of any other contract in the system. And when you do that, you start to build a relationship tree. And if we go back to My Contracts, which is, like I say, the contract repository, you can see some of these contract records have got this little icon here. And when you click on it, that's not a great example, but the idea is that this will give you a diagram of showing all the contracts that the contract you're working on is linked to. And these are all hyperlinked, so you can actually go into the records of all of these contracts. So guys, that was a really quick look at the main functionality areas of ContractPod AI. I hope you found that useful, and yeah, be more than happy to answer any questions by phone or by email after. Thank you very much.